So let's look at this sentiment analysis example. You can use this link here or this QR code, and we're going to see how we could use logistic regression in an example where we have some text information. And so we're going to get into other things that we can do with data sets involving text. But I think this is a good example, even though it's in this realm of predictive analytics. I just want you to get a sense of the types of things that we can do. So here, you don't need to have experience with Python again. Everything's built in, and we can just go through and read the instructions here. So the idea in this first example is that it would be nice if we could create a machine learning model that could predict whether or not a certain review is positive or negative. And sometimes some expensive software has ways of doing this built in, but it's still a good thing to understand and know that even if we don't have certain fancy software, that we can do it using other tools. And so this is using a data set from the UC Irvine Machine Learning Repository, and it has text sentences that are taken from reviews of products, movies, and restaurants on Amazon, IMDb, and Yelp. And a lot of the data that we've done things with so far has been data that's quantitative, or that we can kind of turn into quantitative data. And so here we're starting to see what we can do if we have text data. And so this first cell, I'm just going to hit the play just to upload the data set and create what's called this data frame that I've labeled DF. So this is just uploading that data set. And then in the next cell, I'm just going to print out the first few rows. And so I can do that by typing the name of my data frame, .head, and I could put in 10 or something in parentheses, or just leave it blank. And if I hit play, it will print out the first 5 rows. And so here, there's a review. It says this, so there's no way for me to plug it in, and I could make this bigger and look at more. The next one says good case, excellent value, great for the jawbone. And so this is some product that seems to go with maybe a phone, maybe some headset or something. And each of these have a number, either 0 or 1, that is telling us if it is a positive or negative review. So the 1s are the ones that are positive, and the 0s are the ones that are not positive or maybe negative. And so the 0s and 1s, that makes me think maybe logistic regression could be helpful for being able to predict if a certain review is positive or negative. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take this big data set, and this data set is big. If I could put in, let's say, a print 100 rows, this is quite large. I could check to see exactly how big it is, but it's a large data set. And so what we're going to do is we're going to break this up into pieces. So we're going to split the data set into a training set and a test set. And so we're going to chop the data into 2 chunks, and one of those chunks we're going to use to train our model. And so I'm going to hit play here, and that's what this is doing. It's breaking up into a training set and a test set. And so over on the right, we can see that our test set is going to be 20% of the data, and we're going to train our model on 80% of the data. And this is using something called the bag of words model, where it's not necessarily keeping track of the order of words in a review. So if I look up here, it says this number 1 says good case, excellent value. And so I'm just kind of dumping all of those into a bag, all of those words, good, case, excellent, value, and thinking about that review as just that bag of words. And maybe I can get rid of words that don't seem to matter, like the or a, but hopefully just kind of separating the order of things and just worrying about what words show up might be a way of helping me predict, if something is positive or negative, but it is good to keep in mind that sometimes the order of words matters, and then this bag of words model might not be what we'd want to do. But that's what we're going to do here. So I'm going to hit play here, and then I'm going to kind of define this X-train. Okay. So now we're ready to train and evaluate the model. So I'm going to hit play, and this is doing logistic regression. And so it has created this model that we're going to use to make predictions. But maybe first, let's evaluate the model. So that means we've trained it on part of the data, and now we're going to test it on the remaining part of our data that we didn't use to train it. So if I evaluate it, it says that the accuracy is about 0.81. So about 0.81 of the time, or 81% of the time, I am accurate in my predictions about if something is positive or negative. So I'm testing the data on this data set where I already know if it's positive or negative, and I'm going to use that model that we created to make my prediction and see what percentage of the time it lines up with the actual sentiment, 0 or 1. And I should expect it to be accurate about 81% of the time. And so now we have this model that isn't perfect, but we can now try typing in some potential reviews. So here, there are some given. My widget is useless, very good, nice and easy to use, and so on. So if I hit play, it will predict whether each of these reviews is positive or not. So the first one, my widget is useless, it has given us a 0 because it thinks that is a negative review, which I agree. And so I want you to pause and look at these and see if there's anything that you maybe are surprised by in the predictions that it makes. So very good is given a 1, that's positive. Nice and easy to use is given a 1, that's positive. Okay, but not great, that's given a 0, so that's fine. Let's see this last one. Don't spend your money on anything other than this. I would say that's positive, but this prediction says that it's negative. It gives it a 0. And so that isn't a correct prediction, and so one of these 5 maybe isn't quite right. And you could tweak this, you could try some other things. Let's see, I could try, I'm not sure, but I like it. Let's see what it says that should be. Oh, it doesn't like it. Oh, I'm gonna take out my I'm just gonna have some bad grammar here. Let's see, it says that's negative. What if I take out the first part of the sentence and just say, I like it? There, it says it should be positive. Awesome. And so this can be helpful, and this is a way that we can say things about text data. But we to do this, we had to have this big data set that allowed us to train and test our model. And so we had to have information about some reviews and if they were positive or negative. But once we had that, we could use our model on other reviews, which is really helpful. And so this could be a way to quickly understand, if we have a lot of reviews of some product, to quickly understand, okay, are a lot of our customers happy? Are a lot of our customers unhappy? And that can be helpful for getting a sense of how the customers feel.